The gap between vulnerability disclosure and weaponization used to be measured in days. Now it's measured in hours. Zero-day exploits jumped 46% in just the first half of 2025, and the people exploiting them aren't who you think they are. The hacker hierarchy isn't what Hollywood sold you. It's a ladder that starts with teenagers running borrowed scripts and ends with ghost operators who can breach critical infrastructure while making attribution nearly impossible. Level 1. Script Kiddie. You download a denial of service tool from a forum. The instructions are simple. Enter, target, IP address, click start, watch the magic happen. Except there's no magic. You're running someone else's code with zero understanding of how it works. You don't know what protocols you're abusing. You can't modify the attack if defenses adapt. You're pointing a gun you didn't build at a target you barely understand. Script kiddies rely entirely on pre-made programs to perform malicious actions. They possess surface-level knowledge at best. No ability to create code from scratch. Their attacks get detected faster because they lack the skills to mask what they're doing. Dark web marketplaces sell ready-to-use tools, making entry even easier. Copy, paste, execute. The internet provides an endless supply of scripts requiring almost no effort to deploy. But here's what most people miss. A script kiddie using a high-quality tool can still cause serious damage. At this level, the weapon matters more than the wielder. One sophisticated ransomware package in the hands of someone with no real skills can still encrypt an entire small business network. The damage doesn't always reflect the operator's competence. Most script kiddies focus on quantity over quality. They're seeking attention, bragging rights, the thrill of causing disruption. They'll deface websites just to leave their mark, run automated scans against thousands of random targets hoping something sticks. Their motivation isn't strategic, it's ego. Level 2. Hacking groups. Take those script kiddies and put them together. Suddenly you have coordinated action. Loose collections of individuals who share tools, targets, and techniques. They wield more power than any single script kiddie because they can overwhelm targets through volume and persistence. Business networks face real disruption when these groups focus their efforts. But they're still fundamentally limited. They're still using borrowed tools, just with better coordination. The transition happens when someone decides borrowed isn't good enough anymore. When curiosity pushes past copy-paste into actual understanding. Real hackers write their own customized scripts based on the kind of intrusion they want to execute. Script kiddies remain trapped inside whatever they can find online. The distinction separates amateurs from practitioners. You start learning how systems actually work. Network protocols, operating system vulnerabilities, programming languages. You study how exploits are constructed, not just how to run them. You begin recognizing patterns in code, understanding why certain techniques work against specific defenses. That kind of technical depth takes years. Most people wash out long before they get there. Level 3, professional black hat. You're not seeking attention anymore, you're seeking access. Expert coding skills combined with determination and specific objectives. Professional black hats focus on getting into targets that should be impenetrable, discovering new attack vectors, and exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities before patches exist. Sometimes they target small and medium enterprises, not for the data those companies hold, but as access points to extended supply chains leading to bigger fish. The motivation shifts here. It's no longer about proving you can break things. It's about what you can extract once you're inside. Intellectual property, trade secrets, financial systems, strategic intelligence. The attacks become targeted rather than opportunistic. And you're careful. You mask your tracks. You don't leave obvious signatures. You understand that getting caught means losing access. So stealth becomes part of the job. Getting in matters. Staying in matters more. Level 4. Organized criminal gangs. Above individual black hats sit structured organizations led by professional criminals who recruit code crafters with sophisticated programming knowledge developed over years. These operations follow strict internal rules designed to maintain operational security and avoid detection. They're businesses, essentially, with hierarchies, specialization, and repeatable process. Some members handle initial access. Others develop custom malware. Technical specialists maintain persistence inside compromised networks. Money launderers handle financial extraction. Everyone has a role. The Klopp Group demonstrated this in August 2025 when they exploited 2 zero-days affecting Oracle e-business suite, then sent extortion emails to hundreds of organizations. That's industrial-scale criminality requiring coordination, resources and technical sophistication far beyond individual actors. These gangs operate with patience. They'll sit inside networks for months before making moves. They establish multiple backdoors to preserve access if one entry point gets discovered. They store stolen information in secure network locations before exfiltration, sometimes using denial of service attacks as distractions during extraction. But there's another level above them, one where the operators move beyond criminal profit into strategic objectives that reshape geopolitics, where technical capabilities become instruments of statecraft, where attribution becomes nearly impossible because the operators have mastered the art of operating in shadow. Level 5. Advanced persistent threats. The name tells you everything. Advanced means technical sophistication beyond what most organizations can defend against. Persistent means they're not leaving. Threat means the intent is hostile and the consequences are severe. These aren't automated attacks. Human operators guide every move, reacting to defenses in real time. They're skilled, motivated, organized, and well-funded. State-sponsored groups or entities with state-level resources. They have access to zero-day exploits, vulnerabilities unknown to the software vendors, meaning no patches exist. Custom malware frameworks built specifically for their targets. Command and control infrastructure spanning multiple countries with redundant fallbacks. The objectives are strategic. Cyber espionage to steal intellectual property, trade secrets, or state secrets. Sabotage of critical infrastructure. Establishing persistent footholds to monitor activity indefinitely. These operations unfold over years, not days. The life cycle starts with infiltration, often through spear phishing, emails targeting specific high-level individuals that reference ongoing projects or use information gathered through prior reconnaissance. The target clicks a link or opens an attachment. Initial access is established. From there, they expand. Lateral movement through the network. Privilege escalation to gain administrative control. They create multiple paths back in so access can survive discovery. They stage stolen data inside the network before exfiltration, sometimes using noisy attacks as cover while the real objective moves quietly. And here's what separates APTs from everything below them. Patience. They'll sit dormant for months. They monitor, they learn the network topology, the security measures, the personnel schedules. They wait for the perfect moment. If they lose access, they come back. They've already mapped the environment. Re-entry becomes a matter of timing. In 2025, zero-day exploits surged 46% in just the first half of the year. The window between vulnerability disclosure and weaponization collapsed from days to hours. Attackers now chain 0 days with supply chain attacks, identity compromise, and lateral movement techniques. The 0 day is just the key. What follows is the real campaign. 43 of 90 0 days in 2025 targeted enterprise technologies, an all-time high. Many focused on networking and cybersecurity appliances themselves, the very tools meant to protect networks becoming the entry points. Trusted edge infrastructure turned into critical vulnerability. And attribution became harder. Operators implant false flags. They forge compile times in their malware. They operate during off hours that suggest different time zones. They embed foreign language strings or cultural references into code-pointing investigators toward the wrong actors. They re-register old command and control domains previously used by other adversaries, creating confusion about who's actually behind an attack. They also use generic tools, effective programs shared across many threat actors, rather than custom malware with unique signatures. That makes determining whether you're facing a nation-state or a high-end criminal group far more difficult. The techniques spread. What once distinguished elite APT actors now gets reused by actors far below the level that pioneered them. But the true elites stay ahead through continuous innovation. New 0 days, custom tool sets, tradecraft that doesn't appear in any threat database, operational security strong enough to keep them active and sometimes invisible for years. Level 6. Nation-state operators. At the apex of official power sit highly trained professionals working directly for governments or coerced into service. Massive computing power. Targets in critical infrastructure, military systems, utilities, telecommunications, financial sectors. The Chinese government's Nexus groups remained among the most prolific users of 0-day vulnerabilities in 2025, pursuing national interest through infiltration of critical networks. These operators have resources beyond what any criminal organization can match. Entire teams dedicated to single targets, budgets in the hundreds of millions, legal immunity in their home countries, state protection from international prosecution. Their operations achieve geopolitical objectives, disrupting adversary capabilities. Stealing technology to accelerate domestic industries, positioning for future conflicts by pre-positioning access inside infrastructure they may need to disable during wartime. The attacks aren't about money, they're about leverage, preparation, and power. Level 7. The Ghost. This is where you transcend attribution entirely. You've mastered every technique. You build custom 0 days from scratch. You understand not just how to exploit vulnerabilities, but how to discover them in source code through analysis that can take months. Your tools leave no signatures. Your infrastructure routes through so many compromised systems across so many jurisdictions that tracing becomes almost impossible. You don't just evade detection, you manipulate it. You leave trails pointing toward other actors. You use techniques associated with different threat groups in the same operation, creating attribution chaos. Security researchers analyzing your work can't agree on who you are, where you're from, or whether multiple operators were even involved. Commercial surveillance vendors entered this space aggressively. For the first time since Google started tracking 0-day exploitation, commercial spyware vendors surpassed state-sponsored espionage groups in attributed 0 days. They focused on mobile devices and browsers, chaining 3 or more vulnerabilities together as security improvements forced more complex exploit paths. The Ghost operator works in this same territory but remains completely invisible. No company claims the tools, no government acknowledges the operation, the compromises remain undiscovered for years. When they're finally found, the operator is long gone, having extracted everything of value and moved to new targets. This is the endpoint of the progression, from script kiddie running downloaded tools to ghost operator conducting strategic campaigns that can reshape the balance of power between nations. The journey takes a decade or more. Most people never make it past level 2. The ones who do often started exactly where the script kiddies are now, running tools they didn't understand, then slowly, methodically, building the skills that separate those who break things for attention from those who penetrate the most secure systems on Earth and vanish without leaving evidence they were ever there. The gap between levels isn't just technical knowledge, it's mindset, discipline, the ability to think in timescales measured in years rather than hours. To accept that the most successful operation is the one nobody ever discovers. At the bottom, power looks like noise. At the top, power looks like silence. And the hierarchy isn't fixed anymore. Techniques that once required nation-state resources now get packaged and sold on underground markets. Advanced tool sets leak. Sophisticated capabilities spread downward. Mid-tier operators gain access to weapons that used to belong only to elite teams. But the ghosts stay ahead through relentless innovation and operational discipline most people can't sustain. Understanding this ladder changes how you see every breach in the news. That ransomware attack on a hospital? Probably level 4. The years-long compromise of telecommunications infrastructure discovered by accident? Level 6 or 7. The defaced website with a political message? Level 1, playing at significance. Most defenders are still preparing for yesterday's threats, while the top of the ladder evolves faster than detection capabilities can adapt. The operators at level 7 aren't just ahead. They're operating in a domain most security teams don't even know exists yet.